Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. The RTGAC is back, and today we have another very special edition for you guys. So we are here a little bit early today. Next week, we're probably going to have to go on Monday because I accidentally lied about my trip. I'm going next week to DC instead of this week, so we probably will bring next edition Monday for you guys. But yeah, so I'm gonna before I run down this edition of the CR7 podcast, Cole, say what's up with the people.
How's it going, everybody? Great to be back. We got some interesting stuff on the podcast today, so I'm happy to get into it.
Alrighty, and make sure Cole's volume is up. So to run down this edition of the CR7 podcast, we'll be doing our weekly Phillies recap. Then we will be getting into UFC 302. Even Cole was able to watch that card, so he'll give his opinions on that as well. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson has been postponed. We'll be talking about the future of that. And the UFC 303 press conference has been postponed as well. So a lot of MMA and combat sports to get into today. Over in the NFL, Justin Jefferson has re-signed with the Minnesota Vikings. We will both be reacting to that. And then for the first time this year, we will be talking about the NHL. We'll be previewing the Stanley Cup Finals. Then in the NBA, I'll be talking about the Philadelphia 76ers and what they will look like next year. And we will both be talking about the NBA Finals and our predictions. And we will cap it off with Ryan's rant. But starting off with the Philadelphia Phillies, Cole, Philadelphia Phillies have been 4-2 since the last time we talked about this team.
Yeah, I mean, not the greatest, but I mean, you just look at the last couple games. I mean, you obviously San Fran. I mean, what can you do there? Wheeler pitches an absolute gem, and then I mean, I feel like we've had this conversation a lot. I feel like Wheeler has done this multiple times where he's gone out and pitched a great game, and then he comes out here. And then he just decides to, pitch an absolute gem, and our offense just can't back him up. So that's something that we need to work on, especially with our ace on the mound. I mean, we have like 3 aces at this point. So, I mean, as long as we can score at least 2 runs with Zach Wheeler on the mound, I think we're fine. For example, yesterday against Milwaukee, I mean, just an absolute great. I mean, Reese Hoskins, great to have him back in the city. I mean, he gets a standing ovation, then he hits a home run, gets booed. That's just, a great switch up. I was actually at that game, so yeah, it was actually very fun. I'll say that. So I'll go Wednesday at San Fran. You don't want to get swept. I mean, they've been solid. They've been on a win streak, but I mean, yeah, you just don't want to get swept by San Francisco. And then you come to the St. Louis game. You got Michael Ciani, who grew up in Glenside. Now, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Sunday game. I mean, obviously, you got Gregory Soto going in the 10th and giving up a run. I mean, I don't really like Soto. He's spotty. He's either on or he's off. I don't know which one to. Yeah. I mean, you just see it there. I mean, obviously. Yeah, it's 4-4 since like the 6th inning, and then you can't get a run up on the board. That sucks. I mean, it's okay that we didn't sweep them. Like, I can live with it. And then you go into the Milwaukee game, Wheeler just, again, pitched a gem. I mean, the only runner was Reese Hoskins. He also got gunned at the plate by Johan Rojas. That was a great moment because he stole a bag on Realmuto, and then Realmuto got the last laugh. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it's been a pretty solid week, I'd say. But definitely need to improve scoring more, especially with, Wheeler on the mound. But, yeah, I mean, just being able to score more. I mean, 3-1, it's not horrible, but I'm looking to put up, like, 5 tonight, especially with Sanchez on the mound. And he's been solid, but, you always want to score a lot. And then Nola wrapping up the series. I think we have a good chance of sweeping here. But, yeah.
I will ask you this question. You said they have to put up more runs, but how do you expect them to put up more runs? And I'm not trying to insult your intelligence here, but how would you expect them? How do you? What's your solution to them scoring more runs without Trey Turner and Brandon Marsh in the lineup?
Yeah, so back in the lineup, you got to step up. For example, David Dahl last night.
I've never heard of this guy a day of my life, but he's hitting home runs like it's nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was on fire at AAA with Lehigh Valley, and then he comes in, puts on the pinstripes, and actually does the same exact thing in the big leagues. So, I mean, you love to see that. And then just consistently doing this. I mean, you want to get Witt back in it. I mean, he's just been horrible for us this year. You know, I mean, just the entire back lineup. I forget which game it was, but Stubbs and Rojas had back-to-back bunt singles or something.
I think that was the Sunday game.
Got them. Yeah, that was against St. Louis, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Sunday, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just small ball. You got to manufacture runs any way possible. Yeah, just the back of the lineup mostly. I mean, his front of the lineup has been solid. I will say Harper needs to step up better. He has not been that great over the past couple games, especially striking out. That St. Louis game, he struck out twice, I believe, on like 6 pitches in total. So, I mean, he just got to step up a little bit more. Solid game last night. He had a hit. But, yeah, I mean, just in general, back of the lineup needs to step up a little bit more, especially Rojas.
Our Bryce Harper did win a NL Player of the Month as well as Aaron Judge winning AL Player of the Month. But anyway, Phillies Weekly Recap. Obviously, the Giants series, you're going to have to throw that out the window. I mean, what can you do about that? I already mentioned before, I think the Phillies, you know, they're traveling from Philadelphia to Colorado, and then that's going to affect us for a couple of games there. So it obviously affected us in the Colorado series. And then carrying over to the Giants series to not do that well. You go on a 3-game losing streak. Then you come back. You win 6-1 against the San Francisco Giants. You do like to see that there. I was at both games for the Card on Friday and Saturday against the St. Louis Cardinals. I really like to see, the first game. I thought that they really came through. Sosa, I think he's the best backup shortstop in baseball. Obviously, he's come in there for Trey Turner, has really put on a show. Then you see Rojas maybe taking up his offensive game a little bit. He hits an RBI in that game as well. You know, I feel like in that St. Louis game, most of the reason that the Phillies were not able to win is because of the bottom of the lineup. I also felt going back to last year that the bottom of the lineup was a reason that the Phillies were not able to make it to the World Series, because they were not putting up as much production as we had hoped. So I really like to see the bottom of the lineup get it done in that game. Moving over to Saturday, I mean, you just play absolutely incredible. Suarez gets hurt, which is a big blow. They say the x-rays came back negative. I would assume he might miss a couple of days. I doubt he starts in his next time slot. And just because how hot the Phillies are right now,
Yeah.
it's
Start Saturday versus New York.
right. It's kind of hard to go up. You're tied for the best record in baseball, so there's not really much chance of improvement. You really only can go down. So maybe making him miss a start wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, especially since you're flying over to London.
Yeah, and I mean, you got Turnbull.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the worst backup in the world. I think he's better than Taijuan Walker. I think Taijuan Walker's leash is way too big right now because of his contract, and I don't think he should be starting. Even though we're paying him all this money, I think Turnbull's way better.
I agree. And he did come in there on Saturday. He came in, he pitched about? I think he pitched, let me pull up the stats right here. I think he pitched
Got the win.
I know he got the win. He pitched 3 innings. He came in there, pitched a very solid 3 innings. I mean, he had 6 strikeouts as well. You know, Zach Wheeler had 6 strikeouts and about 7 innings pitched yesterday. So you really like to see that there from him. No hits, so he did have a no-hitter in his performance. I like to see the bullpen in there. This guy, Ruiz, I mean, what can you really do about him? This guy really has not pitched that well. I thought Turnbull should have came in a bit for that inning before. Kirking, obviously, came in. He pitched an inning. Dominguez came in. Soto came in. As Cole mentioned, Dominguez has been very rocky. I'm not the biggest Soto fan. I feel like ever since the pitch clock has come along, he feels pressured to pitch the ball a lot faster. Now, obviously, that's kind of what the MLB wants, but I feel like the pressure is mounting on him a bit too far. Last night's game against Milwaukee, I was not able to catch it. I was at a graduation. So, yeah, I like the performance. Wheeler, I watched the highlights. Wheeler played very, very well. I felt that he could have been a bit better striking guys out. He pitched, 7 innings, had 6 strikeouts. So I really would have liked him to get 1 or 2 more just to get, at least 1 strikeout per inning. The only time I was really happy for somebody to hit a home run was Rhys Hoskins, obviously hitting that solo home run. I feel like that was meant to happen. Hopefully that does not happen anymore because we want to win these games here. But I thought everybody had a pretty good performance. Bryce Harper with a good performance. This guy Dahl, I mean, Cole's been mentioned. He's been lighting it up in AAA. I'm not too familiar with him. Hopefully he can keep the at-bats going. Sosa with a hit, Rojas with a hit. As I mentioned, hopefully his offensive production is able to continue. Other than that, not really much going on. Hopefully we can get these wins. And as I mentioned before, you're facing a lot of these teams at 500, sorry. And then, you don't come home until the 17th. You're obviously going to London. You're going to Boston. You're going to Baltimore. These are going to be some tough series, especially the London series. You know the Mets are going to be hopped up for that one no matter what you say. So, yeah, I think the Phillies, they should be able to get a few of these series. They should be able to finish this Milwaukee series, as Cole mentioned. The London series, we'll see if you can at least split there. And then, yeah, see what you can go on. We'll be talking about that next Tuesday. They'll be in the middle of the Boston Red Sox series, or next Monday, sorry. So they'll just be off the series against the New York Mets. Now, moving over. Any final word, Cole? Or is that it?
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right. UFC 302. I'll let Cole start on this one. Now, Cole, I'll be honest. This was not the greatest card in the world. I'm sorry, you did not get the greatest card. We probably should have had you watch. We probably should have had you watch UFC 300. That was one of the better cards in recent memory. But anything you took away from the pay-per-view?
No, I thought Randy Brown did a good job controlling the fight against Dos Santos. I mean, obviously unanimous decision. I thought he definitely deserved that. I mean, and then moving on to the Price Morono. I mean, another unanimous decision. I mean, Price just completely bodied Morono.
Morono's cardio was so terrible. I mean, he gassed out after the first round.
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised he even went the distance. I'm surprised Nico Price didn't get to him more. I'm surprised he didn't have a submission attempt on him. Then Kevin Holland,
What a win.
Yeah, I mean, oh boy. I mean,
you ran through him.
Yeah, this one was very quick. I mean, I was not expecting him to come out that, hot. And, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much on this. I mean, he kind of just dominated the fight, the short fight. And moving on, Sean Strickland. I actually like Sean Strickland. Split decision. I thought it was actually closer than I thought it could have gone to Costa, but I like how Sean Strickland won. I definitely like Sean Strickland. He's one of my favorite guys so far that I've seen. And then I had Poirier winning, but obviously Makhachev, dominant Poirier. I mean, like Ryan said, I think, or he didn't say this yet on the podcast, but I mean, he just completely dominated every round against Dustin Poirier. There was no way Poirier was winning that. I'm surprised he didn't go the distance, though. I thought Poirier would, have a little bit more dog in him and not go down to submission. But, it is what it is. He was going to lose either way. It would have been a unanimous decision. That's all I got on this, Ryan.
I wasn't able to catch the prelims. So I'm not really going to say much about that. I am surprised Romanov didn't lose this fight. Obviously, I got moved off the card. I really like what Randy Brown did. I think that he needs some more competition. As he said on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, he knows where he's at. He knows his skill level, so he's just going to collect an easy payday till the UFC is able to get him a fight that he thinks he deserves and a matchup that he thinks is good for him. So I really like what Randy Brown did. Alex Morono absolutely gassed out. A pretty boring fight for a pretty boring card, in my opinion. Morono just gassed out for the last 2 rounds. It was a 3-round fight. He won the first round, but then Price just absolutely dominated. Morono's punches were so slow. Looked like looked like a 70-year-old man swinging, in a parking lot. So that was absolutely ridiculous there. Kevin Holland with a great submission win. Now, Cole, I will ask you a question here, and this is kind of from an outsider's perspective. So as you know, Kevin Holland broke Michelle's arm, right? You saw that. He snapped his arm in half. So, but he didn't tap out. So, from an outsider's perspective, do you think it's okay for the referee to step in if somebody's arm gets broken in the fight?
Yes. Because, I don't know, I wouldn't want to fight somebody with my arm broken. That's just me. Yeah, I think it's okay for the ref to step in.
I think so too, and I thought it was fine, but then I go on Twitter and everybody's saying, like, why'd he stop the fight? He didn't tap out. And I'm like, how are you supposed to fight with a broken arm? Like, it doesn't really, like, logically, it doesn't really make that much sense. Like, I don't really understand how you're supposed to fight with a broken arm. I don't know. It just doesn't make that much sense to me. Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. I mean, this was just ridiculous. How Paulo Costa was able to get a judge to get one in his favor. Strickland should have won this unanimously. I mean, Costa was backing up the entire fight. He was on his back heels. He was playing defense mode. Strickland just was running at him with pressure. Costa couldn't handle it. Lots of jabs, a lot of pressure from Sean Strickland. This is a pretty easy win for him, in my opinion, even though the judge gave him the split decision. What do you call it? I really liked with Strickland. He's really turning into one of my favorite fighters. He's just emptying the gas tank, throwing just whatever he can throw in the last 20 seconds of a fight. So I thought that was pretty cool right there. And then in the main event, which I thought saved this card from just being absolutely atrocious, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. I thought that Makhachev won all 4 rounds heading into the fight. Now, you could debate that Poirier won the second round. One judge gave Poirier the second and the fourth round, and Makhachev the first and third. I really thought you could only give him the second if you wanted to. The reason I gave Makhachev all 4 rounds is because I thought he initiated all the contact that was put on in this fight. He was dominating Dustin on the ground. Now, Dustin had a 100% takedown defense in the majority of the round, so I thought he did very good there. But when he did go to the ground, he looked absolutely terrible. He was not able to defend anything from Islam Makhachev. Now, he was able to defend the rear naked choke. I thought Makhachev should have went more to the arms, which obviously he did later in the fight when he was able to get on top of Poirier mounted and was able to get the Doris choke in there. But I thought that Islam Makhachev should have went more towards the arms, and he was much more dominant on the striking portion. People forget how good Makhachev is as a striker. He's much better than Khabib Nurmagomedov was. So, yeah, I think that Makhachev won all 4 rounds. He dominated all 4 rounds. He had more punches, more significant strikes, more punches landed than Poirier in all 4. I'm pretty sure in all 4 rounds he might have lost one, which I think might have been the 4th round. So that's why you could have given that one to Dustin Poirier. But yeah, Poirier saying that he might retire after this. We'll have to see. What do you call it? He says that, what's there really to fight for if he's not fighting for the belt? Now, some fighters, guys like Derek Lewis, they're not going to be fighting for the belt. They're kind of just fighting to fight and put on a show. Dustin Poirier doesn't want to do that. I respect that to him. He's a legend. He'll probably get a lot of endorsement deals. Obviously, he has that Bud Light deal. I'm sure he'll get a lot of endorsement deals, a lot of opportunities to make more money outside of the UFC. And hell, he'll probably end up fighting outside of the UFC. Maybe he'll move on to boxing. He's one of the best boxers in the UFC right now. Maybe he'll go on to, I don't know, something else. I mean, you see what guys like, you see Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen. They're going to have a boxing match pretty soon. Look at guys like Mike Perry. I mean, he has been absolutely dominant with bare knuckle fighting. He's one of the best bare knuckle fighters in the world, and he has a really big name. So yeah, I don't know what he'll do, but if he wants to keep fighting in the UFC, I am definitely not going to question that at all. We move on to UFC Fight Night this Saturday. Jared Cannonier versus I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his first name. Still can't do it. Versus Imavov. I'm not sure. I'll take Imavov to win this fight here. We have a lot of good fight nights coming up. We have this one here. Then we have Whittaker versus Chimaev. That is in Saudi Arabia. I believe that's in Saudi Arabia. That is going to be incredible. Then you have Volkov on that card as well. Kelvin Gastelum. So a lot of great fights on that card, but we'll be talking about that later. Then you obviously move over to UFC 303. We'll be talking about that press conference in a bit, how that was postponed. But yeah, UFC 302, not the best card. A great main event. I thought the 5-on-5 boxing matches, that card was a lot better. I posted my tweet got like retweeted by a bunch of people with hundreds of thousands of followers. That just Wilder was done. I think Wilder is done, but I don't know. All these people are retweeting it. I don't really know what's going on here. Anyway, moving on. Now, Cole, you have been pretty interested in this. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson obviously had a medical incident. It has been postponed until further notice. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. July 20th on Netflix. So, I mean, I'm assuming it'll be sometime in late August, early September at this point. Obviously, you said Mike Tyson with an ulcer flare-up, so he won't be able to train fully for the next couple weeks. Yeah, I was excited to watch this close to my birthday, but it's obviously not going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, kind of wish it was on July 20th. Think it's a better date than, later towards August. But, it is what it is. I mean, what are you gonna do about it? So, I'm still excited for this fight, but, pushes it back a little bit. Not worried about some other stuff now, especially with the All-Star break coming up for the MLB. But, yeah, I'm still excited for it.
Now, let me ask you a few questions here. Netflix only wants Mike Tyson to fight. Do you think that first thing, do you think he should fight after all this? And second thing, do you think Netflix should put in a replacement? And if so, who should that be on July 20th?
I do want Mike Tyson to fight because Jake Paul, I mean, he has not really been challenged that much. And Mike Tyson is obviously
Forgot to set this up.
Incredible. But yeah, a replacement, I'm not really sure, to be honest. But I don't know, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul.
Did I turn the microphone off? I turned the microphone. The microphone was off. Damn it. Okay, I'll put this in the description that the microphone was off from a certain time limit. Okay, so what we were talking about was Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I think where we left off, Cole, you were talking about Logan Paul. Just a recap, just a recap of what Cole said. He said he'd like to see it, but not as much as Mike Tyson. He thinks Mike Tyson should still fight. I think that a good replacement for Mike Tyson would be Platinum Mike Perry. Now, obviously, signing contracts and all would be a bit of a, a bit of a problem. But I think it would be a pretty good fight. I don't know if Mike Perry could compete. He probably could compete with boxing. I'm not sure. But Cole, could you react to what I said about Mike Perry?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be a good fight. Obviously, Mike Perry coming from the UFC. Definitely would be a great boxing matchup. But again, like you said, I don't think Netflix would want it. I'd obviously rather have Mike Tyson over Mike Perry, just because of the legacy matchup. Mike Tyson's one of the greatest of all time. Just him going up against Jake Paul. That's what the media is in for. But obviously Mike Perry would be a great matchup. I think it would be, in fact, a better matchup.
Yeah, I agree.
Age-wise and just strength and conditioning, obviously. I just don't think Netflix would take that deal.
I'll be honest. I really wanted to see Darren Till fight. I'm very disappointed that Darren Till is not going to be fighting. I was really excited for him to, make his boxing debut. He obviously had a very hyped up UFC, debut, and then obviously could not defeat Tyron Woodley. But I was very excited to see Darren Till in his very first boxing match, but it's not going to happen. I agree with Cole. Mike Perry would be a lot better of a matchup, because if Mike Tyson's just going to collapse on the ground in 20 seconds with little to no contact, what's the point? I don't know if I heard you guys heard this on the microphone, most likely not. But if Mike Tyson, I said this earlier. I've said this a few times on the podcast before. If Mike Tyson, looks so good in his, 1 day in the training camp, but then 30 days in the training camp, he's collapsing and in a wheelchair, how much production is he really making? And then is this going to be a concern for his health? I mentioned this before. You can look so good 1 day into your training camp hitting the bags, but then 30 days into your training camp, how good are you going to look? Are you going to be as efficient? It seems like my point's being proven about Mike Tyson. Now, there's a lot of hype around it, but at the end of the day, I just don't think it's going to work. Now, I forgot to talk about this. The pound for pound debate for the UFC. Dana White did talk about it. He thinks John Jones is still pound for pound number one. I'll talk about that just after I talk about the UFC 303 press conference. Cole, I'll get you in here a bit as well after I talk about this. Now, first, here's what I want to talk about. The definition of postponed. So in combat sports terms, what does that mean? Does that mean that it is going to happen, or does it mean that it's not going to happen, but is it going to happen at a later date? So, that's what I'm going to try to critique here. I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. Cole, do you really have enough? I don't really know. Do you think in combat sports terms, do you think this means it's not going to happen, or do you think it is going to happen just at a later date?
I think it's going to happen, but at a later date.
I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rain out in baseball.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really know. What it is now. Conor McGregor tweeted out. I can try and pull up the tweet right here. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Let's see. He said, in consultation with the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to my Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all your passion and support. I can't wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the Octagon. First things first, I know Conor McGregor did not write that. I know he had somebody else write that. So that's the first thing. What do you call it? And now I'm looking at a tweet that the UFC has removed the pay-per-view from ESPN. If this gets canceled, Cole, you're going to see me absolutely lose my mind. Because this was a whole debate about whether it was the way they made this return big enough because they read about it on a piece of paper. I listened to way too much about that. And then if they're going to cancel this event, this is really going to piss me off. Now, Ariel Helwani did put out on the MMA Hour that this has nothing to do with drug problems, alcohol problems, anything like that. That is good to see. If this is an injury, I would really like to know. I would really like Conor McGregor to speak in front of somebody and talk about this, leading up to the fight. Now, is that going to happen? Most likely not, but he does have to do media obligations. He's required to do media obligations. He has to say something about this. He can't avoid the question for forever. Hopefully nobody's out there lying about Conor McGregor. Now, obviously that happens to everybody. Happens to everybody. Happens to me. Happens to Cole. We all get lied about at some point, one way or another. And we have to try and clear up that kind of controversy. So hopefully, this all gets cleared up pretty soon. I really hope this event does not get canceled because if Conor McGregor has to back out, I'm not going to be really looking forward to seeing Max Holloway versus Michael Chandler. I think it'd be a good fight, but I want to see Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. And, Charles Oliveira has been, rumored to step in there, but I'm not necessarily sure what is going to happen. For all we know, Alex Pereira might drop 40 pounds just to go fight. That's how crazy he is. But anyway, not really much more to say. I just hope this event doesn't get canceled. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the pound-for-pound debate before we move on. I forgot to mention this with the reactions. I'll talk about this really quick so we can move on. I think Dana White is absolutely wrong when he's talking about John Jones as the number one pound-for-pound in the world. John Jones has fought one time since 2020, and Dana White said he beat the best heavyweight in the world, Ciryl Gane. That's just not true. Francis Ngannou was the best heavyweight in the world until you released him. That was and Francis Ngannou beat Ciryl Gane in the heavyweight championship fight. John Jones he did not beat the best heavyweight in the world. And who's the best heavyweight in the world right now? Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall should be the world heavyweight champion. He has more wins at heavyweight than John Jones right now. And it's just right, and is more active than John Jones. And then you're saying it's not Islam Makhachev. Well, what does he have to do to be the number one pound for pound right now? It doesn't make any sense. Now, Dana White obviously is going to make the argument, you can put John Jones in the room with anybody in the UFC and he's going to walk out. Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, strength of schedule matters. If you're fighting one time since 2020 and you're regarded as the best pound for pound in the world, something's not right. Now, I understand Dana White is doing this for a promotional thing because he obviously has to market 306, I guess John Jones is going to fight at in Madison Square Garden against Stipe Miocic, if that even does happen. That's not been confirmed just yet. We obviously have to hear the UFC 305, and then we'll hear that card. But yeah, I mean, this is honestly ridiculous. How can you say John Jones is the best pound for pound in the world? Cole, in any sport, strength of schedule matters. And John Jones has not won the strength of schedule. Anyway, moving on. I do want to talk about hockey real quick before we get into Justin Jefferson. We will be previewing the Stanley Cup Finals. We've been talking about combat sports for the past almost half hour. I love that right there. But we do have to move on really quick to the Stanley Cup. So, Cole, the Stanley Cup will be hosted or will be determined against the Oilers and the Panthers. Can you predict and preview this series for us?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the Panthers. I mean, I'm going to highlight their one guy. And it's been Bobrovsky for goalie. I mean, he has been so great for them. I think he's been the best goalie in the entire playoffs. They actually beat the Lightning in 5. They beat the Bruins in 6. They beat the Rangers in 6. I really like this team, but they haven't been to a Game 7 yet, and that's what's concerning for me because I'm not sure. Because I think this is going to go to 7, Ryan. And the Oilers, they beat the Kings in 5. Then they beat the Canucks in 7. And then they beat the Stars in 6. And the Stars are very, very good, very, very well-rounded. I do think Evander Kane needs to step up for the Oilers. I mean, with Leon and Connor McDavid, they've been just incredible offensively. Evander Kane definitely needs to step up because he has a shot the puck enough. He shot 9 in the first 2 games against the Stars, and then game 3, 4, and 5, he just really wasn't there offensively. He definitely needs to step up. So my overall prediction is going to be Oilers in 7.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know where you got all this hockey knowledge from. I mean, you must have been journaling since 3 weeks ago to get all this. And I don't know what the hell happened here. Now, I want to point out for the record that I have talked about hockey in the past when it comes to YouTube videos, but I am not an expert in this topic. So if I say something stupid, I do have notes with me, but if I say something stupid, please do not call out on it. I'm not an expert in it like I am with football, basketball, baseball, MMA, and boxing. I want to point that out for the record. So, I am going to take the Panthers in 7 games. And the reason I'm going to take the Panthers in 7 games is because I don't think that the Oilers have played a defense like the Carolina Panthers have. You mentioned Bobrovsky, their goalie. I pronounced that right, thank God. He has obviously been the best goalie in the playoffs right now. You cannot debate that. I don't think the Oilers have played a goalie like him. Now, that is going to be the X-Factor matchup in this series. The Oilers offense versus Bobrovsky of the Panthers. So I am going to take the Panthers in 7 games just because I think their defense is going to be able to step up to the level of production you do hope it will be. Now, what do you want to call it? What was I going to say here? A problem for the Panthers, I do believe, is that they do get a lot of they do draw a lot of penalties. They're in the box a lot, which is going to be a bit of a problem against the Oilers, so they do convert off that as well. They do have a strong penalty kill, but is it really going to matter against the Oilers? I think they will be able to overcome that in the end. So I am going to take the Carolina Panthers here in 7 games. Cool.
No, I definitely agree. I think it could go either way, but I definitely think this will go to 7.
Yeah.
In the end, definitely think the Panthers were very, very good in the third period against the Rangers in the last series. I could definitely, yeah.
One thing I do want to say here is that legacy is on the line for Connor McDavid. I've religiously said this. Nobody's going to care what Connor McDavid does in the regular season. He's got to win a Stanley Cup. So legacy is on the line for Connor McDavid in this series. Moving on, now probably the biggest news of the week, obviously outside of the NBA Finals, Justin Jefferson re-signing with the Minnesota Vikings. I can pull up the contract right here. I do have it. So he signs a 4-year, $140 million contract extension that includes $110 million guaranteed. He is the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history. And then this deal will also include $88.743 million due at the signing. So, yeah, Justin, the Vikings lock up their overall best player. And I think this deal means a lot. I'll start off here, Cole. I'll turn it over to you. I think this deal means a lot for Justin Jefferson. He obviously is going to get his money. He deserves his money. He's obviously the best receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. He comes back after missing 6 games with a hamstring injury that obviously did a bit to my fantasy team, but it's okay. I ended up winning it all. It's all right. Not to brag over here, but I ended up winning it all. It's okay.
I lost the championship to you.
Right, and then in your league, I think I came in what? I think I came in 4th. I don't remember. Anyway,
I won that.
Yeah, you did win that one. Anyway, so yeah, I like this deal for Justin Jefferson. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL. Obviously, coming off of 6 games with an injury, still at over 1,000 yards receiving. Has had 1,000 yards receiving throughout his entire career, never less than that. So you definitely like to see that there for Justin Jefferson. But what this deal proves to me is that I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be starting come week 1. Justin Jefferson does not sign this deal knowing that the Minnesota Vikings are not trying to win in their first season with J.J. McCarthy. There's no way he puts pen to paper if Sam Darnold is starting in week 1. It's just not happening because that just tells us that the Vikings are not really trying to win this season. They're trying to develop J.J. McCarthy. I think that Justin Jefferson will put pen to paper if the Vikings said, okay, we're going to get J.J. McCarthy ready to go for next year. That's when I think that Justin Jefferson would sign that deal. He doesn't sign this deal. J.J. McCarthy is not going to be starting week 1. Now, if the Vikings if they are starting Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson sign this deal, I'm not really sure what he's doing. He could be trying to do the thing in the NBA where you sign a contract and then you get traded, so the help out with the salary cap. Now that might not work in the NFL. I wouldn't assume it does because the salary cap's a little more strict, but it is what it is. So yeah, I think that Justin Jefferson doesn't sign this deal without J.J. McCarthy, getting ready to start or ramping up to start. Now, this does raise a few questions about CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase because we know that Jerry Jones loves to pay his guys, whatever they really want. Dak Prescott's obviously going to get paid. I think Dak Prescott is going to demand the full max, which is $60 million per year. You're going to have to pay Michael Parsons. You're also going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb as well, which is what my point here. I don't know if CeeDee Lamb's going to get more than Justin Jefferson. He may be willing to take a hometown discount as well as Jamar Chase. But these negotiations are going to be very, very tough because at the end of the day, when it comes to a guy like a CeeDee Lamb, he was able to stay fully healthy this year, and he made a first-team All-Pro. Justin Jefferson was out for 6 games last season, and you don't know if those injuries are going to continue throughout his career. So I'm wondering if CeeDee Lamb's going to have that lever or use that leverage over the Dallas Cowboys to possibly get a bigger deal than Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase, I don't think he has that leverage. He's obviously been hurt in the past, and the Bengals have, I think, a lot more worrying measures to deal with because they're going to be losing T. Higgins most likely next year. Then also they just lost Tyler Boyd. So Cole?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be a wide receiver in the NFL this offseason. I mean, you see Amon-Ra got paid, A.J. Brown got paid, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Michael Pittman, and even Calvin Ridley. Now you got Justin Jefferson. Best deal other than, being a QB. And, yeah, I mean, he definitely deserves it. I think he should have gotten even more, actually. I think it should have been 150. I'm surprised he didn't go for more years because now he's a free agent in 2020, or he's a free agent in 2029. Yeah, I mean, this definitely means, like you said, J.J. McCarthy will be starting. I do not see a world where Sam Darnold's starting. He's obviously a backup quarterback. He is not even close to being the top 32 best QBs in the NFL. Justin Jefferson is definitely going to look to have his best season this year, especially under this big contract. He's definitely going to try to build off J.J. McCarthy. And I'm happy to see this offense with T.J. Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson and J.J. McCarthy. I'm happy to see what the Vikings are going to bring to the NFL this season and to the NFC North, who I have the Packers winning.
Right, we did talk about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk about that last week. What do you call it? What was I about to say? Yeah. Now I will ask you a question real quick here, Cole. Do you think it's the right move for J.J. McCarthy to start?
Yes, 100%. Like you said, I think he's a game, or you said before, I think he's a game manager, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Brock Purdy, he's seen a lot of success as being a game manager. A lot of guys,
I agree.
I'm trying to think of some more guys like Baker Mayfield, I'd say, is more of a game manager.
I mean, they call Jalen Hurts a game manager. They call Brock Purdy a game manager. These guys have gone to Super Bowls.
Well, no, they haven't yet. But
I said they have gone to Super Bowls. Like they've been there.
Let's say they've won.
They've been there.
Yeah, they definitely have been there. Yeah, I see J.J. McCarthy having a very good year this year. I can see him surprising some people. People didn't think he was. I mean, he won a national championship with Michigan. I know a lot of people credit Jim Harbaugh for that, but I think J.J. McCarthy had a big role in that.
I agree. And I don't think there was any. Oh, you want to know who I think is the biggest winner here? Obviously, Justin Jefferson's probably the biggest winner, but I think a very big winner here is Howie Roseman. I mean, he was able to get Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown locked up for deals that are nowhere close to anywhere of where these receivers are going to get. If I was Devontae Smith, I'd be punching the air right now because he's gotten what's he going to be getting paid? Like he's got a 3-year deal for what, $75 million?
Yeah,
I mean, are you absolutely insane? Is it? I mean, I'd be yelling and screaming at my agent at this time right now. But anyway, I'm glad that the Eagles were able to get it done. Howie Roseman was able to see the place where the market was going and was able to get these deals done.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of reminds me of the Braves a little bit with Cunha and Albies and Strider. Locking them up long term.
True. So the only difference is that the MLB salary cap is not a thing. Anyway, moving over into the NBA, we'll be talking about the NBA Finals in just a few minutes. I want to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers first. This is really going to make me mad because I do not want LeBron James. The man is 39, 40 years old, and he ruins teams. He trades all the depth away for superstars. Cole, I have said this before, and I'll say it again. He is the player, the coach, and the general manager all at the same time. Why would you want to play for that? I just do not want LeBron James. I do not. His son, I believe, is a waste of a draft pick. Do I think that he is not going to be? I don't think he's going to be great. I think he's ruined his career by going into the NBA draft. You could say that he had a half-decent combine and all, but at the end of the day, the combine does not replicate what you did in an actual game. So I just want to point that out. So you can debate that all you want. Second thing.
I have a question for you, Ryan.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you think Bronny going to the draft is a fulfillment of his dad's legacy or his legacy?
His dad's legacy. Are you absolutely crazy? If he didn't have the last name James, he wouldn't even be in the transfer portal. He would probably be forced to stay at USC. I mean, are you absolutely insane? Oh. Wait, hold on here. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I mean, this guy has the last name James. That's why people are going to be using a draft pick on him. If you, in this day and age, if you shoot 20% from the three-point line, there's something wrong with you. And if you can't get minutes on a Pac-12 team that was one of the worst in the conference, you have a very big problem. He does not deserve to have a draft pick used on him. Now, Rich Paul has said that he is not going to be signing a two-way contract, which makes me believe that the Lakers will be picking him. Now, you want to know something that makes me mad about LeBron James Jr.? In his draft stock rose to one pick before the Lakers in the second round. That's very convenient, and I don't like it. Anyway, enough about LeBron James. I don't want him. He kills teams. I just don't want it. Second thing, Paul George. I'd be a little more open to that. Would I give him the max? That's the debate because you have to give Tyrese Maxey the max. Now, he didn't make an All-NBA team. He didn't make an All-NBA team, did he? I don't think so. Yeah. So he didn't make an All-NBA team. That incentive of what, like a few $1 million? I think it's like $20 million or something like that for third team. And I know it's $40 million for first team or something like that. But anyway, so it's a good. So I mean, you would have liked to see him get an All NBA team, but for the Sixers' sake, it's a good thing that he did. So obviously, you are going to have to pay Tyrese Maxey. Paul George is going to be very interesting. I would like to bring in Paul George because it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting Brandon Ingram. So Paul George wouldn't be the worst option. The max is really what I just am very concerned about.
I wouldn't want to give him the max.
Yeah.
I'd want to give him somewhere. I'd want to give him a bunch of years, but I'd want to go like between 35 and 40 million. Like I wouldn't go too high.
Right. Obviously, you're not bringing back Tobias Harris. I mean, he'll be. I don't know. He can go wherever. Just stay away from here. Yeah, you do have a lot of decisions to make here. I think you need to bring back DeAnthony Melton and Kelly Oubre Jr. Those should be, top priorities outside of Tyrese Maxey. That should be your top priority. Buddy Hield is debatable. I don't think you should bring back guys like Batum, Kyle Lowry, Campaign, Robert Covington. I don't think those guys really need to be brought back. I think
even with the performance we saw in the play-in.
See, but that's the thing, Cole. You get one of those per 2 months.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? He's gonna go and he's gonna be like, "Well, look how I performed in this game. Let me get some money."
I mean, how much leverage can you really use? How much leverage can you really use for that game? I mean, it's one game. The Sixers probably would have ended up getting the 8th seed and then got demolished by the Boston Celtics. They would have been in the playoffs one way or the other and would have lost in the first round. So it doesn't really matter to me. I think that you need to have once again, you need to have Maxey as your top priority. And the way this team looks next year, I would say Maxey, Oubre maybe, I don't know. Paul George, I don't know. Who else could you throw in there? I don't know. Embiid is obviously there. All right, so Maxey, maybe Melton. I would like maybe.
I'd say you go Paul George at the 4.
That's true. I'd say maybe Malik Monk as a shoot. You could go out and sign him, but he's going to want a big contract because I personally thought he should have won 6th Man of the Year. You could possibly go out and get him from Sacramento. I don't know. I think in the draft, I like Jared McCain out of Duke. Now, I don't like Duke, but I like McCain. You could also maybe get Kyle Filipowski because you need a backup center. Now, will he be that productive in his first season? No, but you don't need somebody to score in that position. You just need somebody to box out because, Cole, we went in the studio, we went to rebounding 101 about 50 times. Could have went about 50 times for the amount of times I criticized the Sixers.
Well, yeah. I mean, Paul Reed is not a center. He is 6'9".
Hey, he's listed as small forward on ESPN's website. Are you absolutely nuts?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Mo Bamba should have been getting much more minutes than what he had. I thought he was great rebounding the ball. But yeah, I think either Filipowski or McCain. McCain did great in the combine shooting-wise.
He did.
I mean, I would much rather have McCain than Filipowski, but I could settle for either one.
So yeah, I think that's what the Sixers are going to look like. Anything else about the Sixers, Cole? Any more? What do you call it? Any more suggestions?
No, I don't have anything else.
I think bench depth is going to be your biggest concern.
Mm-hmm.
Because teams like the Boston Celtics, who you're going to have to beat eventually, have a lot of bench depth.
Yeah, and
Same
I
with the
wouldn't be
Knicks.
surprised if we made a trade in the draft.
Depending on who can still be there at the pick, because honestly, it might not be the worst idea because this draft is just has no talent whatsoever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if a guy in the middle of the first round and turns into a bigger star.
Well, the first couple guys are pretty talented, but other than that, it kind of pretty much falls off.
Right. All right. Anyway, moving over into the NBA Finals. This is going to be a hot series. This might be one of the best series in a while. Dallas Mavericks taking on the Boston Celtics. Series starts on Thursday on ABC. Don't really need to preview this in any way, shape, or form. Lots of, I don't know if I want to say, probably a lot of bad blood going into this game. Kyrie Irving returning to Boston in a final series. Kristaps Porzingis playing against his former team, the Dallas Mavericks. So lots of bad blood there. Preview the series.
Yeah. So I will start off with my prediction. And I'm going Mavs in 7.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going Mavs in 7. Because here's the thing. One thing I've learned in this playoffs is you cannot guard Luka Doncic. Right. He has been so incredible over these last couple series. I mean, this Mavericks team is facing number 1 defense, and the number 4 defense in their last two series. Now they're going up with the Celtics, number 2 defense. Here's what I'm looking at right now. Who is going to guard Luka? And yeah, you can say, oh, Derek White's locked down, Drew Holiday's locked down. On smaller guards they are, but not on a guy like Luka, who is, 6'7"? I mean, this is a guy who has created so much separation on his three-point shot. He's made everybody on the court better than him. Kyrie Irving to pair with him, I mean, it's just nasty. I mean, they are both incredible finishing around the rim. Obviously, Luka finishing like 75% around the rim, which is great. He doesn't look like a finisher. If you showed me a picture of him, I would have been like, oh no, that guy does not look like, he looks like a three-point shooter who comes off the bench. But no, he's the best player in the NBA right now who is still playing in the playoffs. And I think him and Kyrie down the stretch, in the clutch moments, I'm taking him over in the entire Celtics team. I don't think Tatum is nowhere near clutch in crunch time. I'm happy to see. I'm really happy to see what goes down. But I think the Mavericks. I mean, you saw the Pacers. They should have won game 1 and 3. I think the Mavericks are going to take advantage because I think they have the 2 best clutch players in the entire series. The final 5 minutes of the game is going to be so crucial, and I think when you need a big shot, I'm looking at guys like Luka and Kyrie, and they've been here before, or not Luka, but Kyrie has been here before. He's won a championship. It's definitely going to be a legacy match for him. If he can get a ring without LeBron, I definitely think he can. I think he's going to be a leader on this Mavericks team, especially with probably the most experience in the playoffs. I think Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively are going to be huge boxing out. I'm really going to look at them mostly to lock down Porzingis and whatnot. I mean, you ask me, who's going to guard Tatum? Tatum has not been good this playoffs. He hasn't been that threat that he's been in past seasons. I know he's been scoring a bunch of points. He's been passing a little bit. I like what I'm seeing from him, but not enough. I mean, not even near the level that Luka's been on. I just think the Mavs are going to be too much of an offensive force. I understand you can pair with the Celtics defense, but again, going back to my question, who is guarding Luka? They're going to have to double him, and then you got to double Kyrie on the other side. So, I mean, so I'm going Mavs in 7.
I don't disagree with anything you said, but I am going to take the Boston Celtics in 7 games, and I'm going to say why. You mentioned with the whole thing with the pick and roll and the Pacers. I question if the Celtics can defend that when it comes to Derek White and Drew Holiday. They did a really good job defending it. Now, obviously, Halliburton was out for a couple games, but nonetheless, in the first 2, they did a very good job defending that. Now, off that pick and roll, I expect a lot.
They have not fixed a good guard yet. Mitchell was out as well.
No, I will say, but in the times that they did do it against guys like Mitchell and Halliburton, they did defend it really well.
Yeah.
I will say that. Anyway, moving on. I expect a lot of pickpocket basketball from the Dallas Mavericks, the Boston Celtics, because of the fact that you're not going to be creating turnovers off passes, because Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving just don't do that. They don't turn over the ball off passes too much. You're going to have to play pickpocket basketball. I think that the alley-oop thing, the thing that they were doing against Minnesota, I don't think it's going to work against the Boston Celtics because of the fact that you're going to have Kristaps Porzingis, who's most likely coming back in this series. You're going to have Al Horford. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think Porzingis is going to be 100%.
He's not. He's definitely not.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think the 1-2 punch of Lively and Gafford, both being fresh when being on the floor, is going to be too much for Porzingis, who is coming back from injury.
I think someone that has been very good, though, is Luke Cornett. Mm-hmm. He's been very impactful defensively. I really like him. He's very elusive. Same with Al Horford, which leads me to believe that I don't think these alley-oops and these cuts to the basket are going to be as efficient against the Boston Celtics. So that is a bit of a problem for Dallas defensively or offensively. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, they've really only faced one center, Bam Adebayo. I mean, you could say Miles Turner, but he showed no effort in that series. I mean, he looked like he wanted to go home and build some Legos, do his favorite hobby. But I will say one thing, Jared Allen was out. I think he was the best center that they would have faced, but he was obviously out. Going back to what I said, Bam Adebayo, he had no help on offense, so he wasn't that big of an offensive threat. And then, Miles Turner, he showed no hustle or, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, like...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, grit, determination. I'm loving this pair with Lively and Gafford. I think it's going to end up being too much for them.
What do you call it? And then for the for the Mavericks defensively and Boston offensively, I think that Dallas did a great job defending the inside against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Boston doesn't go inside that much. You're gonna have to defend the three. Doncic, Kyrie, they're not the greatest defenders. And the Boston Celtics have been here before, so they're not going to be like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are inexperienced. Which leads me to believe that the Boston Celtics will be able to shoot themselves in the game. Now, they have shot themselves out of the game, but then are able to shoot themselves right back into it. So the Boston Celtics do get hot for the most part of the games. So I think that the Mavericks are going to have to play a lot of perimeter defense, which is something we have not seen them do that well in the regular season, and something that they have done only decently or okay at best in the playoffs. And the Boston Celtics, the number 2 offense in the NBA heading into this final series. Now, obviously, that's going to be discredited because the Mavericks were able to defeat the number 1 offense in the NBA. But I think the experience will help the Boston Celtics ease into the series pretty quickly. I think they will be able to get the first game on Thursday because, as I always say, experience always wins the first game. You've seen it throughout final series. Experience is always able to get the first game in a final series. So I'm going to take the Boston Celtics in game 1. And then I think they will be able that will help them throughout the entire series and help them to take it in 7 games.
And wait, what's your prediction?
Celtics in 7.
Okay.
I kind of have to stick with my pick because that is my. You see, this is the bad thing about making YouTube videos. You have to you're on record saying stuff. And then you can't change your pick. I would like to change it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to make my argument for the Boston Celtics.
If you were to change your pick, what would it be?
I would pick the Mavericks.
And?
7.
Yeah.
The series is going 7.
I've seen experts say Mavericks in 6.
6 is a possibility, but I doubt it happens. I doubt they can. See, the thing is, Boston has been so good on the road that I don't think they're going to be able to close it out there.
Yeah, well, they haven't been good enough at home.
That's another thing.
I think if Mavericks get won it at the TD Garden, I think this could switch the series around. This
is a very close series. Like you can make an argument for either team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean the thing is that you can't disagree with any of the points that anybody makes. It's just that what points are going to outweigh the other throughout the series.
Yeah.
All right.
100%.
Anything else?
I think it's going to be that clutch factor.
You could be right there, but we're going to have to see. I think a guy like Jaylen Brown's going to have to step up there.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I think Kyrie and Luka.
Well in clutch.
I think the Celtics are going to have to win a lot of blowout games if they want to win the series.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll win in the clutch. Anyway, any final words?
Oh, no. I'm ready for Ryan's rants.
All righty. Ryan's rants, and we did pretty well in this podcast. Talked a lot about everything. I don't think there's anything else I need to bring up MMA-wise, because I always forget to say something about that. All right.
Want to bring up the CeeDee Lamb real quick?
See, what about him?
He's not going to training camp because he wants a new contract.
They're all missing voluntarily OTAs. Here's the thing. I will say. Let me talk about. I will say, now that you mentioned it. What's the problem with voluntary OTAs? I mean, that is so stupid. Like, if somebody doesn't want to go to voluntary OTAs, they don't have to go to them. It's not mandatory. So why is everybody getting so mad if somebody doesn't show up to it? I mean, if some role player didn't show up, would we be so upset about it? Now, obviously, role players should show up more than superstars because they need to get more reps in and need to show why they deserve playing time. But nobody's going to care if they don't show up. So what's the big problem? Everybody knows these guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb. We all know they want new contracts. So what's the problem?
Even Chris Jones was holding out.
I mean, what's the problem? Now, these opt-ins, I think, are actually pretty good because it allows you to not get fined by the teams. It keeps you around the organization, and you're able to work out yourself as well, and you're most likely going to get your money. I think those are very good. I thought Nick Bosa did and Chris Jones did a great job doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think we're ready.
All right, let's do it.
First Ryan's Ranch topic: the ice cream at the Phillies.
Now, Cole, this starts with the story. So on Friday, I went to the Phillies game. Me, Scarlett, other people, right? So it was for what do you call it? The Irish Dance Society, right? They had the step dancers before, and one of her cousins does that. So I went to support. I thought I'd be a good person, and I thought they did a very good job because if you ask me to step dance right here, I'll break my feet. I mean, Cole, can you step dance? Because I know I can't do it.
I don't think I'd like to try.
Yeah, we're not gonna try it here. We're not gonna try it on this podcast. Maybe if you throw some money our way, we'll try that on the next edition. Anyway, so at the Phillies game, I always go and get Chickies and Pete's, maybe a cheesesteak, popcorn, but I don't really get to ice cream or water ice stuff like that. Every once in a blue moon, I will. And me and Scarlett go to get water ice. Or ice cream, sorry. But I think I want water ice. And she says, okay, well, maybe you should try ice cream for this go-around. And I said, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'll like it. And then my stupid brain says, get the soft serve. And then it melts in about 20 seconds. It's all over the place. I got napkins galore. I look like a complete idiot walking around with this soup of an ice cream. I mean, I should have... It was stupid. It was my fault. But damn it, I should have listened to just myself and just gotten the water ice because that was an unmitigated disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Cole, anything on that? Any opinion on what I should do for the next time?
Yeah, I think you should roll some Dippin' Dots. Some good old
That is true. I do love Dippin' Dots. That was a childhood one right there.
Mm-hmm.
That one hits home.
All right, next one. Trevor Lawrence wants a new deal.
All right, Trevor Lawrence, ever since coming into the league, was hyped up as this, next big superstar. Well, guess what? I'd hate to break it to you. He has not done that. And he's out here demanding not demanding, but he's saying, I want a new contract. You can't be going out and demanding a new contract when you won one playoff game. No headlines make nothing for any regards of your play in a good sense of it. And try and demand a whole new contract. It just does not work that way. Now, honestly, in my opinion, if you flip Dak Prescott and Trevor Lawrence, you would never hear about Dak Prescott, which gives Trevor Lawrence more of an argument to make more of a contract because he's not in the news for the woes of his play. So that does give him some leverage there. But what has he done? He can't be
horrible. You looked at last year, AFC South wide open division, and you let a rookie CJ Stroud just absolutely steamroll your team,
he played
and then
terrible.
go to the playoffs and be successful.
In the first few games, I thought he played very. In the first few games, like in the first 4 or 6 games, I thought he played very, very well. But in the last 8 weeks, I just played so bad.
I know.
It was terrible. Oh, well.
Yeah, they completely sold the division. I thought that was the easiest division for them to win. I mean, you looked at the rest of the NFL, there's really not an easier division. Now it's obviously more of a contender with, the Texans and the Colts are starting to make some noise. But, yeah, I mean, they really haven't been anything special at all in the last couple of years. They had that one playoff win where they were down huge at half. And, they beat Herbert, who absolutely sold. There's really nothing more to say.
I do think that he will get the deal because the Jaguars really can't do anything else. They can't really. What else are they going to do?
Quarterback, and they know they're not going to get one in free agency.
I mean, yeah. What are they really going to? They're not going to be able to do anything, so they're going to have to re-sign him. But he can't be out here saying publicly that I want a new contract after doing a good bunch of nothing.
Yeah, and Like, I know some teams would give him the money.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
All right. Tutu Pizza Marcano betting scandal. I hope I said that right.
It doesn't matter because he's banned for life.
Yeah.
Because he's banned for life from the MLB. Okay. I think I normally talk about things only on the field, right? But this is honestly getting crazy. I understand that the MLB, the NFL, the NBA, it sounds very hypocritical with the fact that they're sponsored by all these sports books and all, but the players are not allowed to bet. Until you can create some union or get the rule changed, just stop betting. The rule might be unfair, but just stop it. This guy, did you know this guy literally won 4% of his bets and is now banned from the NBA? I mean, how stupid can you be? I am in high school and I know not to do that. I mean, how stupid could you be?
Well, it's a different scenario for Jonte Porter, who bet like 80,000 on his under.
Well, the thing is, he bet on himself. Now, when you're talking, the thing is that he also bet on his team. I think even if the gambling was made legal in these leagues, I think betting on your team should definitely not be something in there because it compromises the integrity of what's going on in your game. I think that should not be allowed. But I think you should. I mean, if you want to go bet something else, like if you want to bet horse racing, like Nikola Jokic, I'm sure would love to do. Why the hell not? I mean, there's not really much of a problem with that. Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to bet on your own league, but at the end of the day, man, I mean, what are we doing here? Until you can get the rule changed, just stop betting. It's not worth it. Like, you're going to get caught. Just stop betting. It's stupid. It's not worth it. And you're ruining your whole life by doing it. And you're not even making that much money. God forbid. You cut out there. What is it?
4%. He lost money.
I know he lost money. He didn't even gain money. At least Jonte Porter gained some money. God forbid, man. All right. Any final words, Cole? Anything else? I think we're good.
No, I'm good.
We'll probably be back on Monday because I'm going to DC. But yeah, I thought a pretty successful edition of the CR7 podcast for episode 2. Yeah, I don't think there's really much more to say. All right. We thank you guys very much for listening to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. I will have a few videos out in the next couple days because not much news to cover. I'll be talking about the Justin Jefferson signing, talking about the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals video comes out tomorrow. The Justin Jefferson video will most likely come out today. I got to film those a little bit later. And yeah,
NBA draft later this June.
NBA draft, we'll be talking about that. But honestly, the talent is so bad that I don't know who's going to be talking about it. I already did a Ryan's rant about that. But yeah, we'll probably cover that soon. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you later.